Cambodia, Tzu Chi volunteers help a community known as Spinach Village with a large-scale relief distribution for flood victims. Farmer Udin Tun gets his volunteer certification in Taiwan, beginning his official Tzu Chi path in Myanmar. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shota. Thank you for joining us. In mid-October, heavy rains flooded areas of Cambodia near Phnom Penh. In one village known as Spinach Village, as many as 202 homes were flooded. Tzu Chi volunteers recently visited the village to help, which is still inundated and just barely beginning its recovery. Volunteers then held a large-scale rice distribution in nearby Thein Tun County to help the struggling residents.
This village in Cambodia depends on this variety of spinach for its livelihood. After so much heavy rain recently, the village is littered with garbage. Volunteers from Malaysia, Singapore, and Cambodia head towards the affected village. They never imagined that they would need a raft to reach the site.
While many houses here have been rebuilt, the floodwaters have been continuing to increase.
Hi. At a glance, you may think that they are floating houses, but actually, floods reached the second story of some buildings. During the dry season, this is actually a road. Now everything is covered in water, and the groundwater is now undrinkable.
The residents have to drink water. You can go a single meal without eating, but you have to drink water. Even if it's just a little bit, they are really in need.
There are 202 households here in this village suffering from food and water shortages. Volunteers aren't only helping this village with an aid distribution, they also help hold a rice distribution in Thein Tun County.
Tzu Chi is like a guide for us. They give us wisdom and offer relief goods. We are learning the wisdom of recycling.
I'm the deputy magistrate, and I'm extremely happy to see those poor families be relieved of some of their burden.
In some of the old buildings in this town, there are some elderly residents who are malnourished, eating only a small single meal a day. In addition to the large-scale distribution, volunteers also make sure these residents are not forgotten.
In Malaysia, parts of Penang suffer flooding twice in 3 months. Tzu Chi volunteers went to evaluate the condition and also gave out emergency cash to the victims of this natural disaster.
On the street outside of Falim, Taiwan take its garbage. This is furniture damaged by the floods, and the residents here still live in fear.
When the floods came, there was only me and my 2 kids in the house. The floods came up to my waist.
I rushed to move my car and my motorcycle to higher ground.
The next morning, 18 Tzu Chi volunteers went to evaluate the disaster. They presented emergency cash to the flood victims and also compiled a list of victims.
Some of them live alone and some are 2 elderly people living together. They needed our help to clean their homes, so we asked other volunteers and together we helped them move the furniture and wash their homes.
My family has only 3 people. Our home was a mess and we didn't know how to clean up our home. Thanks to Tzu Chi volunteers for cleaning up our home.
Tzu Chi volunteers are always on the standby to help the flood victims clean up their homes to make them feel safe and sound.
As Hurricane Matthew brought great damage to Haiti, Tzu Chi recently carried out a cash for relief program in Jeremy City, where after 2 days of repair work, many of the 72 participating families have rebuilt their houses, allowing them to return home.
On this day, 28-year-old Charles finally has a new roof for his house. He has received construction materials such as sheet metal, wood, and iron nails after participating in Tzu Chi's cash for relief work in Jeremy City of Haiti. After a few days, this family of 9 can return their home from a temporary shelter.
It's mainly because I don't have a job. I can have some money to rebuild my house only if I spend 2 to 3 years looking for a job.
Another resident who also joined cash for relief work is busy rebuilding his house and has already constructed the frame. While still another homeowner is busy laying a foundation with building materials given by Tzu Chi, other residents who live nearby are complaining about their delay of receiving aid resources.
This homeowner has to spend many days rebuilding his house. Residents who live nearby keep complaining because they haven't received building materials yet.
For the past 2 days, local residents could not stop venting their anger while volunteers were visiting their community. To comfort these storm survivors, Tzu Chi volunteers invited the community chief to communicate with them, vowing to host a relief distribution for them in the near future.
Returning to Malacca, Malaysia, a mother had been worrying about her 5 children's costly tuition. Fortunately, all of the 5 children qualify for Tzu Chi scholarships. The children have since then realized it's not easy to attain this financial assistance and subsequently reciprocate their blessings by doing recycling in their community.
While 5 children in the family are still at school, the costly tuition has initially troubled their mother. Fortunately, all of the children have received Tzu Chi scholarships in Malacca, Malaysia.
The scholarship is a great help to us and has reduced the financial burden on me. Thank you. I can use this money to buy their books, school uniforms, and tuition.
Over the past 2 years, 3 children of the family have been encouraged by volunteers and their mother to do good deeds by doing recycling every month.
We should educate children not simply to receive assistance from others, but they should also lend their hand to help the needy. It's good for them to do recycling because they can realize how difficult it is to earn money.
Now they are aware of the environmental protection.
Because we can protect the environment.
I've learned how to sort papers, cans, and plastic items.
As these children realize that it's not easy to get the resources in nature, they have learned to pay back society by doing recycling.
A 7th grader, Lin Ran, who lives in Kaohsiung, helps out around the house since his father passed away last year. Seeing his mother working hard to support the family, the young boy has vowed to do well in school to pay back his mother in the future. His devotion as a dutiful son have made him a recipient of Tzu Chi's New Shoot Scholarship.
I help my mother do housework and take care of my brother. I may play games with my brother or take him to a library to read.
Sometimes I may borrow a book from the school's library and bring it back home to read.
I want to be a big support for my mother because she works very hard to earn money to support the family. I want to pay back my mother.
I hope that they can study hard and behave well. I will be very happy for this.
做一个很乖巧的孩子。
I want to be a well-behaved child, and I'll study hard because my mother works very hard. I want to help her and pay back her in the future.
你走太快了，哥哥。我要爬贝壳。
Thank you, Mama.
On Thursday, November 3rd, Master Zheng Yan visited the Banqiao Jingsi Hall to hand out Tzu Chi volunteer certification badges to deserving volunteers from 10 different countries. Next, we meet 2 newly certified volunteers who are determined to continue spreading Tzu Chi's missions from this day forward. After 2 or 3 years of volunteer training, over 300 overseas volunteers are in Taiwan to receive their Tzu Chi volunteer certification badge from Master Zheng Yan herself. Hailing from Malaysia, Chan Kai-ong, a designer, was determined to make this visit, even though he broke his leg 3 weeks ago.
When your mobility is hindered, one can't go to give even if there are opportunities. So why not do all you can when you are healthy?
Even though his mobility is hindered, Chen feels as free as ever, officially beginning his Tzu Chi path. Feeling the same Dharma joy is Ka Tim Loon from Hong Kong.
The first time I saw Master Zheng Yan, I made a vow and said I'd come back to be a devoted practitioner.
In 2012, Ka participated in the 20th anniversary production of the Water Repentance Sutra in Hong Kong and kept to a vegetarian diet. Then over the past 2 years, Ka has returned to Hualien multiple times to experience life living at the abode.
I'm inspired by the lifestyle of the Dharma masters at the abode. I hope slowly I can become more like them.
花心理念是人人一棵树，人人都有无量树种子。
With the volunteers from 10 different countries all making a vow, Tzu Chi's mission is bound to spread to more remote corners of the world. The first Overseas Volunteers Training Camp certification and year-end ceremony concluded at the Banqiao Jingsi Hall on November 3rd. That afternoon, over 400 volunteers had an audience with Master Zheng Yan, and Tzu Chi volunteers from Malaysia put on a special performance. Volunteers from Malaysia perform a song adaptation to express the love between a teacher and her disciple, as well as express their vow to continue the early morning teachings with the master. 10 of the volunteers who are also Tzu Chings make another vow on behalf of all young people.
We vow to continue following the Master's teachings while upholding righteousness in society.
每一句的话都是一粒种子，种在现在的心田，就是我们未来的佛缘。
A drawing made by Liao Chongmei's autistic daughter 5 years ago depicts the before and after of Liao's transformation from joining Tzu Chi. This year, Liao and her daughter are in Taiwan to get their certification together.
It was then that I realized that I was that terrible. I was a horrible mother. Even my mother-in-law felt I was a stepmother.
你要真正的度到你家里的人，就是你要改变的，让家人呐、跟你很亲近的人。 都能心服口服才会被度大。
Master Zheng Yan's teachings have helped strengthen family ties, as evidenced by the 25 families on stage at the talk. After listening to everyone's stories of renewal, this volunteer from Sri Lanka is even more determined to seize the day.
Go back to my country and start a new chapter. We should move a little bit faster.
Among the volunteers getting their Tzu Chi certification this year is Thein Tun from Myanmar. Viewers might remember him as one of the victims of Cyclone Nargis back in 2008, who set an example for others to follow by setting aside a handful of rice each day to help the less fortunate. Let's join him in Shanchong as he participates in the Overseas Volunteers Training Camp.
I'm very happy when I'm with my Tzu Chi family, and I can also go out to do good deeds. I then vowed to become a Zhezheng member. I've attended all the training I needed to take.
Visiting Taiwan from Myanmar, Thein Tun is filled with happiness and joy that he's finally able to wear the blue and white uniform Tzu Chi is known for.
I was quite introverted before, but since joining Tzu Chi, I've overcome many obstacles. I'm much happier now, as I realize that sometimes it takes just a little bit of assistance to help someone else.
In 2010, this Burmese farmer received rice seeds from Tzu Chi to help him recover from Cyclone Nargis. Then, the seeds of love were also planted in his heart. Knowing more people out there are in need of a meal to eat, Thein Tun began to save a handful of rice a day, akin to the Bamboo Coin Bank campaign.
In doing good deeds, my life has changed. Tzu Chi is all about sharing the love, and included with each relief good is the love and care of the volunteers. Although sometimes it may just be one item, but the love that follows is abundantly more.
Grateful for Tzu Chi's assistance in his life, Thein Tun joined the organization and also encouraged fellow villagers to join him so that love can be spread further and more people can be helped. Let's meet a couple in Langkawi, Malaysia to see how they decided to turn their seafood food stall into one that only sells vegetarian options as they encourage more people to embrace vegetarianism.
I've heard that Tzu Chi has faced a shortage of manpower while they prepare veggie food for people. That's why I came here to help out. We will cook vegetarian soup, fried water spinach, and tofu. After I started to follow Bodhisattva path, I have learned from many people and Buddhist books that if we avoid eating fish, then no one will continue to kill fish for us. Though we only eat stew fish, the fishermen may catch and kill an uncountable number of fish. Seeing that disasters take place frequently, I feel very bad, so I started to change my life by embracing vegetarianism.
We are selling vegetarian food because my wife wants to cook meatless meals, hoping to promote benefits of a meat-free diet to the people here in Langkawi. Eating vegetables helps safeguard our health and the environment.
As Tzu Chi always encourages people to embrace vegetarianism, I have decided to sell vegetarian food so that Tzu Chi volunteers can also come to eat veggies in our food stall. This will be very convenient for vegetarians, so I will cook meatless food for everyone. We used to sell seafood, but now we only sell vegetarian food to encourage more people to adopt a meatless diet. As you can see, we are selling more than 10 different meals here because we want to offer a variety of options for customers.
I enjoy dining here because the boss of the food stall is also a vegetarian. I have adopted a meatless diet because I want to save the life of animals and safeguard Mother Earth.
一起救动物，一起救地球，素食 good。
Last year, National Taichung University of Education students participated in a Water Conservation Bureau program in Taichung's Houli area. For 3 months, they worked on a pear orchard farm and found that after every harvest, farmers would burn unneeded pear branches. To solve this problem, they came up with the ingenious plan to turn these branches into pens. Let's take a look.
Surrounded by mountains is Taichung's Houli, which has a moderate climate because of its elevation and is well known as a pear raising location. Every autumn and winter, pear farmers graft different types of imported pears on their native pear trees.
These are our Hong pear trees, but we graft them with Hoshi and Shinko pear branches.
The grafted pear branches are then tightly wrapped in tape and await flowering and then bagging and eventual harvest.
After taking it back, we generally consider it as waste and need to deal with it somehow, such as setting it on fire.
Zhang has been raising pears for 50 years and says he has about 300 hectares of pear orchards. In the past, he burns 2 or 3 tons of this waste each year, which not only creates lots of smoke, but the adhesive tape contains dioxins. Last year, students joined a Soil and Water Conservation Bureau program for 3 months when they encountered this problem and sought a solution. They eventually thought about creating pear pens.
This is the area where it was cut and grafted with another branch, and then it's sprouted in this area, and on the tree, it will look like this, and later it would have another small branch, and then become an example of Taiwan's agricultural technology. Right now, we just want to solve the problem of burning these branches.
These pear branches have a unique shape and aren't just another pen, but actually the solution to a difficult problem.
First, they have been hand-drilled by a lathe in my house. Sometimes they work from 7 p.m. in the evening to 3 in the morning. If they are tired, they sleep.
At first, we just tried it without thinking, and then we found a direction and tried to borrow some of the tools in the community, such as the drills, and then we bought some simple blades.
有一个要求啦，就是它如果只剩树皮了，不管怎样，你一定还是要弄掉。
These curved pear branches are difficult to deal with, and even with tools, it may take up to 2 hours to make each one. However, making these pens can reduce carbon emissions by 1.6 tons. Now, many farmers collect these unwanted branches to make them into pens.
We kept contact with the community and helped them gain outside exposure, which allows them to feel that they are getting some help and attention, and they remain motivated to do this.
The reason there are these creative pear pens is because these students have come and interacted with the community.
If young people did not come here, this would just be waste and we wouldn't have these crafts. In Taichung this year, they were a top 10 gift, exhibiting culture and creativity.
Pear pens are made from agricultural waste and can reduce carbon emissions, as it wasn't deliberately created by planting more trees to create more output, or working with the community to develop some special characteristics.
Using different methods or professions to solve problems in rural areas can lead to some unexpected innovations.
Crossing traditional boundaries can stimulate imagination and create new products like these pear pens, which not only reduce garbage but also draw new attention to rural communities. This collaboration not only helps all those involved but also adds to the culture of these areas.
In Hong Kong, the recently established Chima chapter held a free clinic at a local elementary school in Tsuen Wan district to help seniors, low-income residents, as well as new immigrants in need of medical assistance. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.